Hello, I'm Brent Decker. Today we're going to take a look at the installation process for a segment of the RBB product line by Haworth. RBB is the Reside, Beside, and Belong product. Reside being the desking portion of the system, Beside being the storage which is integrated with that, and Belong which are the accessories, screens, tool rails, and utilities. Let's head to the studio, take a look at the installation process of the Reside desking. Step one for the desking system. I've got one flipped over here in a panel cart. I'm going to start with the understructure of the desk, and that starts with these central blocks. It's all one catalog number, but you're going to build these on site, and once you build it, most of the stuff will stay on forever through reconfigurations. But the starting process is going to be to take the central blocks, to put them on each end of the table, and we will center them on the pre-drilled holes using the standard number 10 work surface screw that we use on our panel systems. So we'll go ahead and do that. The next step after we have our central blocks is to put on these support beams. We will use some spacers to offset the central block, and these are to minimize the deflection in the worktop. And again, you're going to do this once, and as you reconfigure, make any changes, you will never have to go back and repeat this. That will become part of the tops. Now we'll tag this down into the pre-drilled holes. Once that's done, we're going to take the end caps and just set those over the tubes. There are threaded holes for these machine screws. These are a Torx head, therefore requiring a Torx bit. There are 6 locations for screws. 2 of them are extra. We're going to put 4 of the outside corners in. You do not have to put the center ones in. Those are spares and we're there, so we took advantage of them, and if something breaks or something you can use them, but they're not required, and you won't receive the hardware to put in there. So we'll go ahead and put 4 in each bracket. Next, we've got the understructure on here. We're going to go ahead and put the legs in, and to give you just a little bit of what that is, here's another central block, what we have here on the ends. You do have some options in life when it comes to legs. I have the straight leg, which has quite a bit of length here to come to the edge of the surface. Another option on this style of desk is a shorter shanked angled leg. It is an option on this desk. When you get to a worktop with the knife edge, the angle is required so it doesn't interfere with the slope of the knife edge work surface. And then we'll actually anchor these in with a set screw. These are what we call a fixed leg, has an 1.5 inch adjustment. Every one of the leg families, whether it's the angled, the straight, or a hoop leg that we also offer, comes with a facilities adjustable leg. If you have an uneven floor, if you have requirements to go in some different heights, facilities adjustment means taking out the screw, moving in the inner sleeve. We got pre-drilled threaded holes throughout here. Put the screw back in at the desired height to give you the dimension you need. So we will go ahead and put 4 straight legs in here now. Once we have those in, we are going to secure those into place using a 4mm wrench with a little cap screw. So we will put those in, snug those up, and we will do that for all 4 legs. We flip the table over. We do have an 1.5 inch adjustment on each of the legs, so we'd go ahead and level it at this point. Next, let's take a look at another application where we'll actually link a desk off of here, sharing some of the legs. We've got the understructure on. What we'll do now, this is the way we typically install a leg, tighten the 2 set screws. Since we're adding on to another table sharing those, we would actually slide the leg into both of the central blocks and then tighten down the set screws. Okay, we got the tabletop down. I'm just going to move this leg over and sliding it into adjoining casters to give a little shared look here. So we'll pop that out, pop that in place. Now we can go ahead and tighten up the set screws on each side to attach this to the casting. Just like that. A different application, if you so choose, you could specify an intermediate leg versus the outside one here. That locks itself onto the central blocks and has pre-tapped holes for machine screws. The next thing we're going to build is a back-to-back benching application. The easiest way to build this, and we've got some of it done already below it, what we do is take up the next set of tops, prep them, put on your understructure, put on your adjoining block connectors, and then we'll flip this over and continue on like that. So we've got side A and side B already built. What we're going to do is take our shared block connector, and we're going to utilize these castings and slide these into the castings. And then we'll take our A side, get those in nice and snug, and then we'll take a 4mm again and tighten these down. We will also put a bevel-headed screw through this casting into the central block that has a pre-drilled hole for it. So we'll go ahead and finish this off. And then what we'll do is add our legs. So now we can just flip this down and have a usable table. So I'll get the other side. Okay, everything is drawn together and tightened. What we'll do now is flip this over and attach it to the existing set of legs. The next step, if you're using it, would be to attach at least the bracketry to the Belong product. There is a sequence to the installation of what goes under this desking, and if you skip step A, you will be going back at some time and going backwards, so we don't want to do that. So the thing you need from the designer is an accurate drawing, making sure you show all this on the print, because if you jump ahead, put the electrical on, you're going to end up taking it back off. So we've got tool rails or we've got screens, and those would be the very first thing I'm going to install. Could you install this from underneath the surface? Yes, but for video purposes and depending on the size of the table, I'm going to do it from up here. The holes for the brackets on the tops are pre-drilled, so it's a pretty easy installation. There's an offset or there's a center mount for the screen tool rail if you want to share it both sides. So again, tool rails and screen brackets are the very first thing you're going to do if you're using them. We have the screen brackets, which are a little different. It's a 2-piece bracket. We're going to bolt on this U-shaped bracket. There is a set screw hole on one side to tighten up against the screen to keep it in place. This is the one used for fabric, laminate, or veneer. We have a narrower one for the glass, which is more of a press fit and doesn't have the set screw. So keep in mind there's a couple different versions in case you have both of them on your installation. To mount these to the surfaces, at this time there are not pre-drilled holes. We hope to get there someday soon, but what we're going to do now is center them. Follow the instructions of how far from the edge on the tack board instructions. Again, they're not pre-drilled today, but hopefully tomorrow. Center it in any way that works for you, or tape measure. If you're doing a lot of these, obviously you're going to want to make a shim or a spacer, but I already have these marked, and we'll go ahead and just take our screws and put them in place. There's places for 8 screws. There's some different applications. For this application, we're going to go 2 and 2, and that is enough. You don't have to put every screw in. Now I'll do the other side. I've got my screen brackets on and my tool rail brackets on. The next part of the installation would be utilities. I'm going to take my PDA, put it onto the tray, slide that into place. I'm going to put a screw in from the top, and that's just going to keep it in position from being able to loosen up and remove itself. Then I will take a top cap, and from the top of the table you will see this. So this is the finished product. It does have dimples on the sides, which will engage into holes on the bracket itself. So we're going to go ahead and push that into place. We'll set this into position, and this is going to allow you to share power from side to side. We will next take an included communication bracket. We only use 2 screws in this. Keep that in place. Now we're going to take our standard work surface screw and put in 1 screw in each of these brackets. I've got my power on, I've got my comm bracket screw on. If this table was in its usable position, the next step would probably be take my powered jumper, and we will put that in position and lock that on, and that's going to bring all my circuits from one table to the next. And this is the 3-circuit solution, but we also have this in our 4-circuit solution. To access utilities, we're going to use a triplex receptacle, and this one is from the Premise and Compose family. Set it to the desired circuit and lock that into place. Once that's done, the last step is to take the double utility tray, put it over this, not only to height it somewhat, but this is also where my cables and data cables, communication cables can lay. So this, again, like the PDA, has pre-drilled holes. We will use our standard work surface screw and put that into place. And we'll do the other 3 brackets. Another way to support the table, and again, remember we're upside down here, would be the use of a shared column. This gets rid of the 2 outer legs, so I've got my knee clearance. We've put this in the center. We've tagged in 2 work surface screws, and we'll tag in the other sides to the next table. We also added on miniature cantilevers with screws, and then we're going to put screws through those cantilevers into the castings to secure that. And that's a machine screw. We'll put those in. We've got the column in place. Surfaces would continue on from there, but before we do that, we want to show you the inside of the column. The outer covers are removable to access power and communications. You could core the floor and come through here similar to a Compose panel and bring utilities up and then branch them horizontally from there. If you didn't have the ability of a raised floor and your feet came out just outside this box, there is a removable tab at the bottom that I could break away to get conduit and power and data into this, even though it doesn't fall directly below it. What's the best way to access power once you have this product built? 2 different ways to do this. You can take your power cords, tuck them through here, reach below, plug them into the receptacle, or the easier way if you're going to access these on and off during the day would be to order the work surface with a hatch in. It can be factory installed or it can be installed in the field, and these will line up with the receptacles and data so I can plug things into here. So for long term, that's going to be an easier way to access power. Next, we'll pop in the screen. Remember earlier we put the brackets on for the center mounted screen. We will take the screen. There is an up and down, just so you know this. The spine goes in, wraps around, and where it meets, obviously, is the bottom. So we will take the screen, push that into place. I've got a set screw started here. We've got a black metal plate. We're going to stand behind that so the set screw doesn't go into the fabric. So we will nest that in, and then we'll tighten the set screw. You have just seen the installation process for Reside desking, which included preparation of the tops, the legs, placement of the legs, and also some of the various accessories. This should better prepare you for any upcoming Reside installations. Keep in mind that following the proper sequence will allow a much smoother installation. As always, any questions on installation, please contact your local Haworth technical representative. Thank you.